I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Start out in public comments. Sherry, you got 3 minutes.
Thanks, Kurt. During the August board meeting, the supervisor made a comment directly to me. It was unprofessional, inappropriate, and inaccurate. You said, "Don't be telling our boys not to do what they're doing," quote unquote. We've known each other for years. You have my phone number. If you'd called me, I would have told you exactly what transpired. I had been in the office, asked Patty if I could have a look at the barn by the fire barn, building by the fire barn. She said the DPW assistant had the keys and to check with them. When I walked out of her office, I saw, one of the DPWs near the church, and I asked about seeing the building. It was at that point I realized he was in the process of weed whipping the church's parking lot. I asked him if he was aware that it was private property, not township. My thought was perhaps they'd misunderstood your instructions. It never even occurred to me that you would instruct him to maintain privately owned property using township funds. After saying a couple of my thoughts out loud about maintaining private property, he said he had been told people, were complaining about it, and they were told to weed whip the sidewalk cracks and made a sweeping motion toward Main Street and Lake Street. I never told him to stop doing what he was doing. Being a supervisor is more than just signing checks. It's about giving instruction, guidance, and verifying the work assigned was being done in a timely and correct manner. As a board member, you should also be making sure township funds are not spent in a careless or irresponsible way. You also stated at the August meeting that the boys have been doing a pretty good job. Have you personally inspected the property or the work being done? You're in the township daily, yet I've never noticed you checking the park or the community center property to see what condition they're in or what might need to be done. I want to make it clear, this is not about the young men. It is about you and your lack of supervisory skills. They are only following your instructions. I reviewed the timesheets from the FOIA I submitted on August 2nd. In those 26 days, depending upon how it's calculated, the township paid approximately $840 in overtime. Doesn't this concern you? Do they need better or different kind of equipment? Do you need to work on their schedule so they're not pressed for time? Perhaps you should design a timesheet for them that allows them to enter start and stop times for each project. Then you'd be able to determine where the glitch might be. Many of the sheets make no sense regarding jobs performed and time used. For example, on June 29th, Thursday, they cleaned the community center, did the trash, went to Mount Pleasant to pick up trash bags, moved the foundation to the right spot, 8 hours and a half.
3 minutes are up, Sherry.
Do you have more things to say?
Yeah.
I defer my 3 minutes to her.
Thank you, Barb. So you sent 2 people to Mount Pleasant to pick up trash bags. Why wouldn't you send one to do picking up the bags and the other to do mowing and weed whipping? I showed the timesheets to Alicia. She said she'd never seen them. The only document they received for review is a piece of paper showing their hours submitted by Pat. If other board members had had an opportunity to review them, perhaps they too would have questions. In that same FOIA request, I asked for a list of job duties you established for the young men to perform on a rainy day. The response was document does not exist. Why don't they have a list of things they can do during the rain? I believe it was in late May when I called you and asked you if you knew they were mowing the park on Saturday while people were walking around. You said you did not know. Maybe they finished a funeral and decided to mow? As the interim supervisor, you should have known. It clearly states in the employee handbook that a request or use for overtime must be approved by the supervisor in advance. Did you give him just a blanket approval in advance? You said I should have called you. I called you twice to tell you the new exterior lights, which cost almost $1,000, were not turning on after dark. The first response was maybe they can't find the switch. I'll call them. The second call, a week later, your response was, oh, I forgot to call. I contacted you shortly after the lights began to work about the light over the gym door strobing when it was trying to turn on. That was many weeks ago, and it was still strobing as of last week. Kurt, as a person, I have always liked you. But if If I were to give you a grade for your supervisory skills and keeping a responsible eye on the use of the township's money, it would be an F.
Well, Sherry, I ain't supposed to answer, but I'm gonna answer to you. You called and bitched one Sunday, cause our guy was up in the park, and you said he had one bag he picked up, and we don't wanna know what he was doing. He
Kurt,
would
this is
come up here,
public
hold on, I'm
comment.
speaking, Sherry. He was driving his bike around the lake, and seen there was 3 barrels up there full of trash, and he was good enough, instead of letting them flow over for Monday, he came back and got the township pickup, went up and got those 3 bags, and put new bags in.
Well,
And we called Dave Gage on the light, I guess why I called him again, I'm not an electrician. I reported what you said, but I ain't supposed to be answering you, so I'm not.
But you did.
What?
But you
but you
did.
did.
Yeah, I know, I
Now
said
you-
what I was supposed to.
Kurt,
Okay.
I think that's wonderful, that those young men, once again, this is not about these boys. I think they do a pretty darn good job with the instructions that they're given. So this is not about those young men at all. Okay, I just wanna make that very clear.
Anybody else?
I think I participated in the car show. And the car show itself was real nice, except there wasn't enough bathrooms. There was a line at the men's bathroom at least, waiting to get in there.
About time you men had a line.
There you go. Trees, too.
They're trying to take care of that for next year. We've had a lot of complaints on that,
Have you?
yeah.
A lot of people are up there during that time.
Linda Horak, can you just spell my name? Please. Linda Horak. I brought to the board's attention and other members of the audience of that day that there was a grant opportunity that was coming up for areas of blight in the community. Montcalm County did not submit any projects whatsoever. If you had written on a piece of lined paper or unlined paper that you wanted money to demolish some structure and you gave us a couple pieces of document, you had up to $200,000.
Oh.
So that was lost opportunity, and that's just for the entire Montcalm County, and it's not your fault. But that said, round 4 is coming up. That release of the RFP will be October 1. The deadline for the applications will be mid-December. Those will be competitively scored against everybody else in the state of Michigan. Up to $3 million will be available per applicant or county, we haven't decided yet. But I would encourage you that if the feeling is that that section of this building is blighted, it meets the definition of blight in the RFP, and your building inspector for the area will declare it a blighted structure in writing for you, and you want to, that could be put in for demolition and then stabilization of the wall leading into the existing structure. So we've done that in Calumet. Okay, they took off the back of a building that literally is just falling down, sealed it off for the weather, to weatherize it and stuff for the stabilization side of that project. And now the front end will be available for redevelopment. So this is being done other places in very small, Calumet's pretty small. So, giving you a heads up, and I will help behind the scenes to anybody who wants questions answered, writing done. I just can't do it really publicly, so.
Thank you for bringing that up again.
Yeah.
Don't drop the ball on that either. That sounds
Well,
awesome.
It's
We
just
heard
the
it.
timing is good if this is really an option, and if the conditions that were stated about the floor and the roof and blah, blah, blah. The other option would be stabilization. If you wanted to replace that roof as a stabilizing effect for that and shore up foundation issues that you have identified, that money was there too. So,
We've talked about one building before, and I'm
We did.
still working to push on that.
that's fine, yeah.
And also, I'm looking at, trying to get the old township hall cleaned up.
Okay, I've seen online that they've been working on the inside and putting some stuff out for other people to use that they've pulled out of
And
buildings, so.
we're trying to get a quote on the paint job for it, so we're working on it.
I'm sorry, I'm probably over my 3 minutes, Kurt.
What is that building, David? What is that building that you're working on down there?
I'm sorry?
What are they putting in that building? What,
Long-term, can I take a moment, Kurt? I gotta get permission to speak here. She is out of Lansing, he's out of Saginaw, so they're working very hard trying to get together, fiance. Long-term, they'd like to put a photo, like a art gallery in there. He is a professional photographer out of Saginaw, has a studio over there. Long-term, they're looking at putting an art studio in. That's the plan, but it just gonna happen.
Anybody else? John?
Looking through the agenda, you have some unfinished business, including policies. At the last meeting and reviewing, because I was not here, there were a couple of policies that you discussed that were going to be sent to the attorney. I don't see them listed here, so I'm gonna wait. You guys will probably talk about them, I hope. But one thing I wanted to bring up, it seemed to be a point of contention, section 3.16, which was disclosure for board members, a dollar amount, having conflict of interest with local vendors, and everybody would like to strike that. And I understand coming up with a dollar amount and working through this can be problematic, but what I would like to suggest in the minimum that you don't strike the whole 3.16 and instead use some kind of verbiage that just is very simply saying, as sitting board members, you should not leverage your position as a board member to gain a favorable rate or discount with a local vendor. Maybe not just saying a certain dollar amount, but please don't use your position as a board member to benefit yourself. I don't think that's too much to ask. Furthermore, I would suggest at some point your oath that you all take before you are sat, and I'm trying to remember what all is included in there, and the only thing I can come up with is that you swear to uphold the Constitution and you swear to do the best to your ability as a board member, and I would suggest adding something in there too, that you also would uphold any policies or rules that you make for a governing board, because that has been a point of contention of how do you enforce it. So please, those are just my suggestions. Thank you.
Anybody else?
The Crystal Lions Club has pretty much completed the basketball court at Mill Park. We've got a little striping to do yet. We want to do some backfilling around the edges of the concrete. I was wondering if the township had a mound of black dirt somewhere that we could get to go around the edges of the concrete so that somebody doesn't turn an ankle falling off at the edge of the concrete.
How much you need?
3 yards maybe?
We probably get some. I don't think we've got any out to the sewer plant, so we can get you some.
Okay, thank you. As soon as we have that, we'll get that all
Okay.
leveled and seeded yet this fall.
It looks great. We were out there for cleanup day and it looks fantastic.
We got another question in our meeting this week about the playground equipment. We did get the pictures of the equipment as it was set up in Mount Pleasant, which is helpful. We're just kind of looking for direction, what you would like the Lions Club to do, whether you would like us to make it a work project where we would be involved in doing the labor, or are you wanting us to take that on as a project and try to also come up with funds for that?
I think I just, get it in, we probably stay in the funds,
I would think we could do the
cause
fund.
we're gonna have to no matter what, if we do it, or,
Right, so yeah, you guys can.
and if you need to use our tractors, or, we probably, this grass starts slowing down, we can even send the boys out to help you.
Sure. Okay. I'm not sure that we'll take that on this fall yet.
That's all right.
But we may wait till spring. would be great if they could kinda get out there. That stuff is buried under tall grass and vines, so it's kinda hard to even see what's there.
Oh,
It's behind the buildings, behind the sewer ponds, in a corner there.
Okay,
So that would be nice.
All right.
Get that cleaned up, so we've got a couple of tractors, you know, with guys in the club that would, you know, bring their equipment over and load
Okay.
the trailer up to move it. But, and also they were, wondering whether Knoll Park is where we wanna end up with that material.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
anybody else? Okay, we'll move on. We need to add, before the reports, our insurance guy is here and he'd like to speak first, so add that in front of the reports. Need a motion to approve the agenda and accept the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
One second.
Motion by Nancy, second by Sarah to approve the agenda, accept the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carried. We need to accept the consent agenda. Need a motion for that. Motion by Patty, second by Nancy. Accept the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Can we discuss, this is where we talk about bills, right?
Yep.
Alrighty. I had a question, and I understand supporting local, but looking at the Blanchard's tickets, a 4-pack of toilet paper, like, we don't buy a 4-pack of toilet paper for our house. Like, why aren't we buying things in volume? Things like toilet paper that are going to be used. Because, I mean, I'm all for sport and local, but a 4-pack for something that's kinda institutional seems a little not right.
And they buy that for South Pier, that's the only thing that's for, so it's not for Pier.
Right, but we have all this
Yeah, right.
space to store, like, let's make it make financial sense. Okay, now we can move on.
Do we clean that structure?
Yeah.
Cabin goes in,
Sucks it out and then they usually power wash it,
How often is that done?
usually a couple, 3 times a year.
Maybe we could do it a little more often.
Often.
Yeah. It's not that I've been in there, but, you know, I have that thought every time I go by there. That is ours and we're,
Yeah.
yeah, you know,
Okay.
if we could.
Anything else, sir?
And Pat, I know I had mentioned this earlier and I should have looked. I think it's on the invoice for police and damage, Brent. Doesn't it also say a demolition permit included?
I didn't get one.
I've read that.
I didn't get one.
I forwarded one to you. Oh, the invoice, you didn't get a permit.
Right.
So we need to follow up on that, okay? I will make a note and call them or email them tomorrow. Maybe he's waiting for the check.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Okay,
Thank you. I'm not sure how much detail you want me to go through as far as your insurance. I've given you a pretty detailed report as far as what your insurance entails. Some of what I'd like to highlight within the proposal itself is that you'll see that in there we have some attorney services available for you. So if you have a question about a individual, whether to terminate them or not, if you have questions about a personnel policy that you draw up, or you have a question about a FOIA request, you can contact this attorney, and her name is Heidi Hudson from Zosmer Caulfield, and her number is in there. She can answer those questions for you and help avoid a call to your attorney getting charged $200, $250 an hour, whatever they charge. That service is a limited service. It's not something that you can expect her to draw up an ordinance or something like that, but she can help with FOIA requests, those types of things, reviewing procedures and policies you've put in place. And also review things like employment matters and things like that. Your insurance, let's start with liability. You have $2 million in liability to cover most aspects of what you do. You don't really have any zoning per se, but you do have some land use issues that can come up. Whether it be a sign ordinance or, whether to, if somebody comes for you about a seawall or something and the DNR, DEQ looks for your guidance. I'm not sure what all you have involved in land use at this time, because I know you did give up most of your ordinances. But you still have some culpability in that, and you've got $250,000 for damages. You don't have any limit for defense. When it comes to lawsuits, most insurance requires an attachment, somebody suing you for damages. Our policy does not require damages to be requested. We're seeing a lot of situations where municipalities are being sued for declaratory relief or injunctive relief. An example, you may decide that you're going to go forward with what you discussed earlier this prior meeting about taking down this building and putting up a small building next to the gymnasium. And everybody's happy about that except a few people. They say, I don't want you to do that, and they don't sue you for damages. They're not out anything. They just don't want you to tear down the community building. They sue you to stop it. Well, when that happens, you have to defend yourself. You defend it. Now, sometimes meetings get heated. Sometimes you get situations where somebody may say something that they regret, or somebody takes offense to, and you get sued for defamation of character, slander, anything like that. We cover that. That also includes the board members, where it goes back and forth between board members. This insurance policy is different than anything you have at home or your business, because we protect insureds suing another insured. Another example might be the fire department. They go to a two-story structure fire, and the fire chief sends somebody up in the back, go up the back, squirt water in the back, sends somebody up in the front, squirt oil from the front, he brushes the guy on the window in the back, knocks him off the ladder, and injures him. That person may decide to sue the fire person who injured him, a fellow fire person. You might have somebody backing up a fire vehicle and run over somebody, anything like that. So we protect you, and when we talk about you, it's the township, every elected official, every appointed official, every employee, and every volunteer. And when you talk about volunteers, you're usually thinking about volunteers like your paid-on-call fire people, because your fire people are paid on call, not true volunteers. But you do have situations where volunteers putting up a playscape at the park, and one person injures another person, or they back over somebody with a tractor, or drop something from a tractor and injure them. You've got coverage for that. They're a volunteer, they're gonna be covered under your policy. Who's not covered? Independent contractors. The people you pay to fix your roof, and they don't do a good job, that's it on them. You pay somebody to fix your road or your parking lot, they're not covered under your liability coverage. But all the others are. On top of that, we provide property coverage. Your property coverage, you got like $8,900,000 worth of property coverage. And what we do is we take all the buildings that you have and combine them into one single total number, and you have that available for any single loss. So this building, I think we got about $5.9 million on it. I'm trying to remember. See if I can tell you. Yeah, $5,986,000. And I get you're not gonna replace this building. I get it. The problem is that, you've got a replacement cost coverage policy. And the only other alternative you would have is to breaking this thing out and put actual cash value on it. And when you do that, if you say, well, if we lost this building, we put up $1 million building, we'd be happy. You would be. But when a tornado comes through and takes the roof off, and you got $100,000 of roof, and they say, well, you should have had $6 million of insurance, but you chose to cover for $1 million, so we'll pay 1/6 of the loss to that roof, less your deductible. So, having almost $6 million of coverage on this, I get is a problem, because you don't want to replace it, but I don't have a better alternative for you. It's just a stinky position you're in because of the building you have. When you diminish the size of the building, they'll reduce the value, and reduce your cost. But other than that, you've got to schedule the properties here. I also gave Patty separate schedules. That we ask you to review them and make sure that we have your properties valued properly. And if you have questions or you don't agree with the value, let us know and give us some reason to argue it. We'll argue it, change value. On top of your properties, we also have things like your computers and all that covered. We have $100,000 for computer hardware, $100,000 for software. And what that does is it's not just your computers, but it's any electronic stuff. Your sewer system's separate, so that's not really an issue. But you have a copy machine, phone equipment, all that's included in that.
Server?
Yeah, absolutely. Then we get down to your auto insurance. On your autos, again, one of the things I'm going to ask you to do is really review your autos. Now, the company did make a change in your auto insurance this year. Up until this year, you had a $250 deductible on all your automobiles, including your fire vehicles. Well, fire vehicles are getting so high that they've now instituted a requirement of a $1,000 deductible on any vehicle over $200,000. So the vehicles that are starred, that are over $200,000, those vehicles have a $1,000 deductible. Everything else has a $250 deductible. If you want to see options as far as deductibles, as far as bringing the other ones up, happy to do that. Or any option you want, you just let us know, we'll do that. But again, review your vehicles, because we added a vehicle on last year, fire truck. This year he added another one on the 22 Super Duty pickup, which is a DPW vehicle. And I'm not sure if we've taken off anything or haven't taken off anything that we should have. So please review your vehicle schedule there and make sure that we don't have too many vehicles now. We also have crime coverage. It's $50,000. It covers a lot of things. It covers if an employee steals money. It covers if you have mysterious disappearance. We cover somebody come in here with a gun and trying to steal money. That coverage travels with you to your home. If somebody comes to your home to steal money, or follows you to the bank and tries to steal it, you're covered there as well. You also have something called portable equipment coverage. It's in the marine, is the technical term they call it. But what that does is that covers all of your portable equipment. And what you have is you've got park equipment. We got $90,000 there. DPW equipment $60,000. Fire department $197,000. And then we have one tractor scheduled for $50,000. Now the thing is that when you have park equipment, we will cover anything up to $25,000, like your zero-turn mowers and all that. But if you've got something that's $25,000 or more, and we don't have it scheduled, you're limited to $25,000. So we ask you to review those schedules and make sure that we have enough value there. And when we talk about fire department equipment, we're talking about everything. Their radios, their hoses, their portable generators, their nozzles, you know, their turnout equipment, their, you know, if you've got, wildland, equipment, we cover that, portable boats, all that. When we talk about, liability, if I can go back to that for just a minute, I told you have, you know, $2 million of coverage. We cover, you know, the decisions you make, and the decisions you don't make. You know, you talked about a marijuana, request last year. Sometimes townships don't, wanna have marijuana, sometimes they do, whatever. But if you tell somebody, yeah, we're gonna, you know, discuss that and come up with an ordinance, and then you never bring it back, you can get sued for that, you know, you just never bring it back. We cover that as well. You know, so, does anybody have questions about your insurance? Now, your property values went up this year because everything's gone up. And your price is about $2,800 more this year because you got a new 2022 vehicle and it's on an annual policy. And everything else is up, so. You have a lot of other insurances, I don't know how much you wanna get into that. But that's the main stuff you have. You also have workers' comp, it's a separate thing. Workers' comp covers you as a board, but it covers your fire department too. Your fire department is covered for their actual wages, all wages combined, or the state average weekly wage, whichever is greater. So if you got somebody that's an artisan, a carpenter, plumber, farmer, and they don't wanna show a lot of income, you know, they will take the state average weekly wage and they will base their loss on that rather than their lower wages that they show. Anybody have any questions about workers' comp?
I have a question about errors and omission coverage.
Yep.
What are errors and omissions?
Those are the big board decisions. Board decisions you make or don't make.
Gotcha.
Somebody wants to, change their, place from residential to commercial, and you approve or not approve. That would be an example. Huh?
And they don't like it, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
but it might be a hiring or firing or failure to promote. The fire chief leaves and the assistant fire chief thinks he's gonna get it, and you bring somebody on from Carson City, and everybody's upset. You get sued by them. We've had, that happen. You know, we've had situations where they allege, sexual harassment, and that's why I don't get my promotion. So it's not just things that have to do with land use, it's all your decisions, what you do with this building. That's land use, but, you know, whether to allow people to, well, we also cover 4th of July parade and your, winter festival and your liability. You could choose to not have a parade next year, you know, as an example, on lower your liability, but somebody sues you for that, say, hey, you know, that's a tradition.
Do we need some sort of standardization of those events by way of driver's license, proof of insurance, registration to work within your guidelines?
Well, the events that you have, if you're not sponsoring anything that, you're driving, a vehicle other than your vehicle, fire vehicle, and you've got licensed drivers driving those.
Alright, so a water gun hits you, the foot slips off the brake and onto the gas on anybody in the parade. You know, and it's our sponsored parade, and
Yeah.
we've got the insurance coverage, so would that come
Well,
with us?
We don't
you
sponsor
gotta-
the parade, that is all totally chamber.
Well, you can still be sued, and just because it's chambers doesn't mean you can't be sued. And you got coverage for it. And I think you're passing on the cost to the chamber is what you were doing, wasn't it?
I don't think so. on the
It was
chamber.
$150 for liability, I know that. So anyway, your question about liability, the rules of the no-fault laws in Michigan, if you're driving your vehicle, liability travels with the vehicle, that's the first place for fault. So go back to the person, or the vehicle owner, or the vehicle, and the driver of that vehicle first. If they didn't have enough insurance, then yeah, your liability, you've got $2 million over and above that. You probably don't have much liability there, but you could. I just got a call this morning down in Waldron. They have Waldron Community Days, was last week. They have a parade going through town, and they have donkeys and horses pulling wagons. And somebody's dog on one end of the parade ran right out after the horses, and they started messing a bit. Nothing happened, but you know, the question was, what's the liability there? And the gal running it, she was miffed because the village has known about the dog, and they haven't done anything about the dog with a code enforcement officer. And the reason they don't do anything with the dog is because they don't have a code enforcement officer in place. So it's like, yeah, you know, you can get sued for anything, you know?
Right, minimizing the risk is, yeah, high on the list.
Yes, absolutely. And certainly any checks is advantageous. But we're not trying to, you know, set your guidelines. If you're looking for that type of thing, we can assist, absolutely. Any other questions? Yes?
At the last meeting, you mentioned possibility of safety enhancements, rekeying.
Oh, yeah, thanks, honey. Do we currently have that? Because we got this last month, we got the first round of this, so I went through it. And we are covered, property coverage highlights in comprehensive public entity property coverage
Yeah,
for $25,000 lock replacement and rekeying. And since we had a security issue, it really seems like that makes sense.
well, what that's for is when you have a break-in, and then they will rekey. So if you've had a break-in, yes, that would be a submittable claim. But just wanting to rekey everything, that's not something,
Okay.
Good question.
fair question, sure. But the intent of the coverage is somebody breaks in, they'll rekey everything.
Anybody else got questions today?
Is $2 million enough
2 million for,
liability? I mean, that's the number I keep hearing, and it doesn't seem like a lot of money to me.
Well, let me give you an answer to that.
there you go.
For an additional $1 million, for every additional $1 million, it's $606. So if you want to increase it, it's $606 a year per $1 million to increase it up to $10 million, which would be 6,000.
But do other communities in similar, townships in similar size typically, do you have any idea?
Well, it depends on the risk that you have. I mean, you've got a fire department, which increases your risk a little bit. And I'm not sure whether you're still doing the polar dip. You know, I mean, there was an issue with that a few years ago. Nothing happened, unfortunately. All I can tell you is that, you know, like Boomer Township south of you has $1 million. Boomer south of you. Home Township north of you, I think they have $5 million. So it's what you feel comfortable with.
I do have a question. When Garrett Bacher had that sue the township, did that go through?
We didn't have that as a.
We had a different insurance company then.
But did you use the insurance for that?
Oh, yeah.
They used the
We maxed
insurance
went
for the
over.
max.
How much insurance did you have for that?
120, was it?
And you went over by how much?
About 20 or 30,000, I think.
So is this enough? If
It's
he were to,
unlimited. This
if
is
he
what-
were to,
Or anybody else.
yeah, or anybody else would come off, because
Right.
that was years ago.
I think he said it was unlimited for lawsuits like that.
Unlimited for defense, then we pay $250,000 for damages. And I think yours was all defense, wasn't it? You didn't pay damages.
No.
And that's the case with most zoning. You know, you base your zoning, I mean, I get the issues on that particular one. But $250,000 is the limit for damages you have. You don't have a limit for defense, that's outside. Your old policy had $100,000 for damages and defense, and after that, it was all gone. So that's the difference in how our program works versus theirs,
Okay.
so.
I got a question, since we put docks out down at the old Palladium, now how much liability do we have if somebody gets hurt there? Somebody suing us with getting cut on the aluminum, or slipping and falling,
Or the kids that dive off the end of it?
yeah, or the party boats, or whatever you wanna call the gang out there.
Cause there was a boat that just recently, when the water was, pretty,
Choppy.
yeah, that was.
It was tied too tight to the dock and it looked like it pulled it apart. There's
Yeah.
pictures of it.
Oh, I pulled it out.
But Jeremy had,
In Lake Town, you know, seems like there'd be a lot of liability, somebody drowns, we've had a few drownings in the last few years.
I can't imagine any liability there.
well, you have to remember, it's a DNR owned lake.
Well, public beach though, I mean, that's still our
Well,
liability.
Certainly you have liability,
But you
absolutely
don't
you
have
have
the
liability. And the more
service to come
infrastructure
and
you
try to
have,
save you while you're drowning.
the more infrastructure you
Like a
put out there,
lifeguard.
the more liability you create. But that's part of the reason you have the insurance. And like I said, if you're not
So I
comfortable
mean,
with
we
the
should go up to
amount,
the 6 million.
increase it, you know.
So is that the answer to his question then, is 2 million is the extent of the liability for,
You have no
for the
limit,
docks or?
you have no limit for defense. If somebody's injured, we can pay up to $2 million for bodily injury or property damage. But, you know, your defense is outside of our policy limits for damages. So we could spend $5 million defending you and still have $2 million to pay defense. Or we could spend $10,000 and still have $2 million. You do not have a limit to the cost of defense. We totally cover that.
Right, but 2 million is the outside amount that we have for liability outside of defense. for
Right,
the
to pay the
insurance.
damages, to pay for somebody's injury.
Because they have no sign saying no lifeguards on duty and you swim at your own risk.
And those would be good.
Okay, Dave. I think that answers our questions up here.
But
You're not wrong, though.
Thank you.
There isn't.
like I said, if you do wanna increase or make any changes, just let us know.
we will.
But, you know, maybe taking a little survey of something like he said, hey, this would help you as a township to have signage out
John,
in
I'm
certain
sorry, but
areas
it's
that would
not
help.
public comment, okay? It's not public comment. They would probably talk to you one-on-one, but we kinda wanna get going with the board meeting.
Okay, we're down to Montcalm County Buzz. Chris ain't here.
Chris isn't here, they approved the budget, they did a construction variance on Cove Trail. The original house was built, too close to the property line, but they wanted to rebuild on the original footprint, and they approved that. And then there was something about a contract with the commission on the, that was all they had.
It puts us down the fire report. Mike's not here.
That's attached.
Still waiting, we ain't heard nothing from our fire grant we applied for. It is.
Is he ever coming back to,
Who?
like,
He's back.
to the fire? I mean, the fire department, Mike Fitzgerald, or,
Grass
Yes.
man. Who? Grass man.
It's
our,
Mike Fitzpatrick coming.
yes, is he ever coming back to the meetings?
He hasn't been at the last few.
No, I don't. It's up to him, I guess. He don't, not unless we want him.
Well, I don't know if Kent with the CLA has got with him, he needs to sign CLA papers for the fireworks for next year, the
Okay.
permit. I don't know if Kent got with him or not, or if he's called any member of the board, I gave him numbers.
Okay. Mike's not here. August, Duck Lake Improvement. Shirley, you wanna speak on that, Dave, or?
No, Shirley's not here, so I would.
Okay.
Table it.
Downtown Development Authority, Dave.
Yeah, I have just, 3 or 4 items here, just really quick. We had a successful Music in the Park program this year. We thought it was very successful. We only had, Mother Nature was nice. We only had one event rained out. So I think that went over very well. We also had a successful golf cart raffle. Chris Beard was holding the winning ticket, so I don't know if you know Chris. But he won that golf cart. DDA sponsored event or coordinated event will be the Winter Festival. That's a ways off, thank goodness. And then busy enough. As I mentioned earlier at the other meeting, we are working with the owners of the old Township Hall to get the exterior of the building improved or painted. So we're working on that, trying to get quotes. I think they got a quote to haul some of the trash away. And so they're getting more active, they're working on the inside, and we're trying to help them actually get a grant from the DDA to improve the outside. Last note I would make is the DDA has sent a letter up to the county treasurer requesting payment for the DDA TIF portion of the county taxes, and we'll let you know how that goes. So we finally, the board finally requested that we send them a letter explaining it, and it's hard to explain because the DDA hasn't invoiced them for 20 years, and we're about to start. So it's just oversight that got lost in the weeds. And that's it.
Thanks, Dave. Police report.
The one that's attached is actually the one that we got last month. I got it the day after the board meeting, so I put that in there because I do not have a new one.
So we've got Officer Campbell back? Says Officer Campbell.
I guess I didn't change that, who's an officer, I'm sorry.
Lincoln, it's Lincoln.
Okay, I'll get that corrected.
Campbell could come back.
Yes, I will.
Sure one. Okay, just curious, thank you, Dad.
Okay. That moves us down to the trustee report.
Well, as I learn more things, more questions pop out, and as is often the case in life. One of the policies that I started working on, in our August Township Focus, they have a nice article about the First Amendment auditors and the constitutionalists who are popping in on different townships. And in that, it kind of took over from a facilities rental policy to a township-owned properties policy. And in that, we've created a spreadsheet of those properties that needs some more categories put into it. It can be found on Township Focus, August 2023, and we have a nice list that for the next meeting, I will have the categories made and we will work through, because it is a really handy over-the-top umbrella to organize what is going on and start with the properties and work down from there to the different departments. So that kind of took over its own little thing. So that one is being worked on. The next one that I ran into was I have residents still contacting me and calling me and saying, what is going on with that sewer rental? And I'm gonna throw some numbers out, just for thought. Currently, non-irrigated per acre is being rented for $35. USDA has a nice rental by county, anyone can find it online, and it's rental farm ground rates. When the first contract that came out with the newspaper FOIA, that was 2014 for Carl Martin. In 2014, Montcalm County was getting $81 an acre. He is charged $35 an acre. Then and now, still. Now, farm ground in Montcalm County, non-irrigated, $93.50 an acre. So I think we really need to look at those contracts if we are supposed to be performing value for value. It is a large differential of what we're getting and what the average is, put out by an objective set of data.
Now, if there is a contract that's good for another 5 years, then really there's not much more we can do about it for the next 5 years. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. I think it probably needs to go to the attorney, because 35 versus 93, and you start timesing it by the acres, that is a significant difference.
How many acres are we talking about?
If the FOIA that the paper received, and she's got it, if you wanna go to the Daily News and look through that article, there's a hot link, you hit it. 2014 was 20 acres to Carl Martin. 2020 was to Kurt McCracken for 55 acres of unirrigated and 70 acres of under the effluent pivot. So it's more than 120 acres total unless Carl is still, if he's not farming that. Is his contract still valid?
I don't know what his contract is.
Well, it's about 145 acres then. So I think we really do need to look at that. We'll get you a public comment.
Start out with, Sarah, before you go any further, you need to go out and talk to Kevin. You guys have got, our sewer man's about pissed off, he just took turn his keys in. He says, nobody blowing up on others has ever came out and talked to him about that sewer ground.
Okay. I am supposed to be a fiduciary to see how the township is running its money. I'm asking questions. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right, but you went out and talked to Kevin.
You are the supervisor.
You guys don't
He is
believe.
under you. We run by the strong supervisor model, but we do not have a document that says that. When you're in charge of everything, it's really hard for anybody to work their way in. Since we do not have a document and a policy that says we are running as a strong supervisor model, we should be running by commission. And if I had my druthers, all the department heads would be here so we all get on the same page once a month and our constituents can ask them all questions.
Thank you.
You done?
So, no, we need to decide what we are running as a model. Are we governing and administering by commission, which is what the default is if we don't have a policy, or do we have a policy that reflects that you are in the driver's seat for most things? That's how it's supposed to go.
Sarah, what do you,
Because there's so many things dealing with the DPW and the sewer, and I've asked many times, how does the authority structure go here? Who is under who? How do we work with stuff? And I've never really gotten an answer. So, in policy matters, it says, townships in Michigan usually conform to one of 3 administrative models to show how board authority is exercised or delegated. Commission, strong supervisor, or strong appointed administrator. And that's usually in a charter township.
we don't have any.
So we have 2 choices. We're one or we're the other. And if we're strong supervisor, there should be a policy document reflecting that.
We do not have an administrator, because we've never hired an administrator. I mean, the sewer department has an administrator, but the operator is the administrator,
Right.
that's just for them.
Well, and they hire an administrator or a managerial person to take over, so people's personalities and politics and histories are not part of the mix, and the job gets done. They kind of take the onus off of it being on one side where we're supposed to make the decisions and do the day-to-day.
But they don't.
So I think we need to talk about that and figure out what we are.
Well, and as we develop these policies, we can get into that, correct?
Well, it kind of, if we don't have that policy, we should be governing by commission. We should all be aware of all the stuff that's going on, all the time.
And that is one thing that, you know what, I, quite frankly, am always left out in the cold. I know that. And I think that every board member should know what's going on within this township.
No, I agree with that statement.
I usually just tell somebody if they ask me, couldn't tell you, I'm gonna be the last one to know, you'll probably know before I will. So it's just, that's something to think about, you know, be open with everybody. So that's all, that's what I'm thinking.
So who's gonna go talk to this gentleman?
That goes back to your original
He
question.
doesn't have the say in that, it's the board.
We approve their budgets, you know,
Yeah, right.
we're kind of the over umbrella.
Reacting that,
I get it.
it's reacting that.
I called in and talked to Patty this week about the park project, and it's very relevant to what you're talking about. My question was, who's responsible for making decisions when changes happen? And I was told that the board was the ones that made the decision, not any one individual.
True, but I don't even know where we are with the project. And then we're just asking to be kept in the loop, because people will ask any one of us.
Yeah.
That's all. You know, I know we've gone off track here a little bit, but I do want to say that.
Yeah, and we have different strong suits. People have different piles of experience in their backpacks. You know, we're not utilizing the experience that we have sitting here.
You want me to have Kevin come to a board meeting and explain the story down to you?
Or maybe have a second meeting, that's up to you guys.
I would like to invite all our department heads to attend our meetings, but that's just me.
It would keep everybody in the
It
loop.
kinda would be, I mean, it would be a good idea to have everybody here, but
Well,
again,
they all, go ahead.
Okay, do they communicate with you or Kurt, and it doesn't get passed
No,
on?
no.
You get-
No,
not-
absolutely.
and that
Kevin-
is part of the
You know,
problem.
Kevin runs the sewer and
But just like with Mike, he's been coming forever and now he's not coming. We can't make him come. It's the same with Mike, August, Mike Fitzpatrick, Chris, all you,
Why can't we? We are the governing body and we say when meeting attendance is mandatory or optional.
so
We,
we
people
even,
wanna know.
They work for us.
they work for us.
And if me asking questions makes people angry, they need to turn around and look at themselves, because these are honest questions. Trying to do my best.
I know back before my time even, they were paying Roger to come to the meetings. Goody, when you, Goody.
oh, okay.
He got his regular hourly wage for being at a meeting.
And I can see doing that, if you're attending, it's part of
I
work.
have no problem
It's
paying
work
them to
related.
come to
Are
the
there,
meeting.
are there job descriptions for our employees? If there are, that can be included on the job description.
And
that
then
they will
can
attend
also be
meetings.
paid for it.
Yeah,
There are, but it should be.
I
okay.
think we're kind of getting to the point where people like a little bit tighter structure here, we'll put it that way. Not so loose and fancy free. Something to think about,
Yeah.
because we're all hearing it. Okay,
Okay,
you have more?
That concludes.
Okay. I'll put it.
okay, we're down to correspondence, the recycle site. Dan, you want to speak on that?
Yeah, okay, people. Everybody seems to know everything going on around here, how come nobody can tell any one of us who is dumping trash out at our recyclers? Cause I'd like to know, people have got to be seeing that.
I only see it when it's already there.
Unfortunately, me as well.
Like a
Probably none of you here, really can see it.
I did give Sarah somebody who,
You gave them to me.
Was it- yes.
I'm gonna take them to the next solid waste meeting,
I
see what they
actually
wanna do.
posted a picture of somebody's trash with her name on Facebook and my post got taken down, so.
Oh,
yeah, you gotta bring it in to
I'll take
somebody
it
on the board.
to the solid waste
Did we
committee.
talk about putting a camera out there?
We will have a
For
camera when we
years.
get our new compactor, I would have liked one years ago, but we will get it when we get our compactors there.
Yeah, because that's just,
It's
that's gonna wreck
sad.
it for everybody.
Well,
Yeah.
I know.
I noticed was it a box spring out there this past
Yeah,
weekend?
it was a
Yeah,
mattress.
it's bad.
And Max,
Yeah.
they just dump on us.
Okay.
But the rest of it I'll leave to down on the compactor, so go ahead.
Okay.
That's everywhere. And you actually have a very minor problem here with the people abusing it. I mean, it doesn't feel minor to you.
Right.
We're
I don't have a problem.
Seawall permit on South Shore. Our recreational plan is expiring this year.
Do we need to
to renew
to
that?
say if
Yeah.
it's something we need to.
If, we need to renew it if we're gonna keep applying for grants and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, and didn't I pass on the information from a gentleman who was doing a recreational plan?
Who's doing the recreation?
Well, he organizes, he
Oh.
puts them together. I gave it to somebody
Okay, that's something we'll have
a couple
to
months
figure
ago.
out.
Yeah, definitely follow up on.
Consumer public hearing, Mount Com County Drain Commission, Schinnebarger Drain, they're gonna do some work that they didn't finish the last time.
Haven't they already done this?
This is, going down Blackmer Road on the west side of the road, partway down that, they got a clay tile in there.
Yeah,
And then on Mount Hope Road, from where the Schinnebarger ditch comes out, goes north to Jerry Carroll's, there's a clay tile there that keeps blowing holes.
so this hasn't been done, it's gonna be done.
No, that's, yeah, that's what it's looking like,
It's gonna be done.
yeah,
Okay.
expensive one,
Well, it was expensive last year
Oh.
for people.
This is 20 years.
our town, he ain't sent me a paper yet, but I think our township share is gonna be close to 100,000.
I had somebody ask me what our share would be today. Holy.
Mine's,
the tile?
Holy
No.
cow.
They
So
replaced
that's
the tile,
where
or put a
the
new one?
drains at large.
put new down,
A new tile?
cause it's old and they're collapsing. They gotta go across Sydney Road once, I think, they're gonna go across Mount Hope Road, I thought he said 3 times.
Finish all the way to Carson.
Okay, and we,
That's a big bite.
yeah. We got a letter from
Rosemary.
Rosemary, you guys read that, or?
Yep.
Okay,
Do you ever read that to the community, to us?
what's that?
These correspondence, do you ever read this to us? Can you give us a synopsis of her letter?
It was on the building,
At her house?
no, this building.
Oh.
And she,
She, I think the way I take it, she said, years ago, they said to fix the building, and why aren't we just fixing the building?
okay.
What do you guys look at?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I've given my opinion, I've given my thoughts 3 times, this many years, this many years, this many years, fix it already.
Alright.
Yeah.
Wait, are you sure my mom didn't write that?
Okay. Unfinished business, American Rescue.
Okay, I'm gonna apologize. Someone had asked me, a board member, what the timeline was on the American Rescue Plan money, and I misspoke. We have to commit by it by 12/31/24. I have put that on the ARPA,
Okay,
Township, and then spend it by 12/31/26, so that we know for sure. Sorry about
thank you.
31.
misspeaking. Commit by 24,
Use by 26.
use by 26.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, the community center.
I mean, I don't
I
know,
think we did that.
Yeah,
I think for now, I think we just need to get a survey and get it sent out, so we'll have to work on that.
Policies in front of you, we have cash handling and receiving policy, and a draft grant policy. So Linda, you talking about land bank grants, like, good timing. Nancy and I worked on the cash handling and receiving policy together, so if everybody could read through it and see if it makes sense with what we do. We like it, we wanna change it, we wanna add, we wanna take away.
It looks good to me.
I think, probably now, and how you guys are gonna enforce them, I take in money. Yeah,
For what?
the Jamboree guys pay me, that group that comes in here and rents it all day Saturday, I think he maybe paid you the last time, but he normally pays me.
It just was in an envelope in my
Oh,
mailbox,
yeah,
that's
I
all.
bet,
Well,
Is that okay statutorily? Like, there are
he
only some,
hands him money,
And I give it to Patty,
Patty
Patty
puts it
records
in my
it, gives it
mailbox.
to you.
Yeah, so,
And I have taken people that came in, I wanna pay their sewer tax if I'm in the office with, and I just say, here's an envelope, fill it out, and I throw it in,
sewer department.
what's her name? Can't think of her name, Janet,
Janet,
Janet's
yeah.
mailbox.
Well, sometimes you're just too kind. But yeah, I mean, the guy wants to hand you money that he is actually giving us, he's paying us for something, they're paying a bill. I think what we're looking at is, and that'd be the other thing, is just putting stuff in Janet's box, in my box, safe, because it could be cash.
Right. It's not secure.
So, yeah.
So what do we wanna do there? Cause what I have read is exactly
Well-
who's on there.
Dropbox, show me the Dropbox is,
Yeah, that's what I would say.
you know, although I.
Well, the
have
guys
people
that
put-
pay me for the
Yeah,
jamboree, they don't
cash.
even come here.
Is it always in cash?
Well,
Yeah.
some people, I don't like having people put cash
Make it,
there.
tell them you can't take it and they need to come here.
Yeah.
You can do that.
I mean,
I'll just collect it.
Well then,
If you're willing to open yourself up to
sure,
that liability.
sure.
Pardon me.
so
Why
you're
make
saying
it
you
that
want to
way?
be added under general monies?
Well, that's right, if you're gonna do it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, then we
Okay,
need to talk about that.
well,
But that's where it would be added, is general.
okay, true, all right, well, I can make.
Yeah, I
a
don't
motion.
wanna take tax money in.
I would like to see some sort of data, an opinion from an attorney. I would like to see something that says that's okay, cause everything I read said this is who should deal with money. And department heads.
What happened this past
Yeah.
year.
Yeah,
We shouldn't be so loosey-goosey.
yeah, so you don't come to the jamboree.
Yeah.
The guys don't come to the jamboree, they just see you.
Just
and
They see me and they pay me for the
they-
2-hour rental, and
Gotcha. Well, then there might
I
have.
would say if it was a check or money order,
they don't,
I wouldn't, it was
and
cash.
it's not
wasn't it?
check,
It was
it's cash.
It was cash, cause they take in cash.
I don't think that's right.
Yeah,
But to take in cash
Mm-hmm.
from them,
You should not be taking cash.
I agree.
I'm sure they don't write checks.
and it's
They're
kinda,
not.
and it's kinda back to, we're just kinda getting a little looser and looser and looser. Maybe, I don't, can you
Is
ask
the
them to
Dropbox
please
secure?
come here? What?
Then tell them to put the money in the Dropbox.
But it's cash, and I hate to see it in the Dropbox.
Well,
Cause we had an issue with somebody putting $200 or $300 for the sewer department in the Dropbox last year. So,
maybe they were restricted to come in on,
I mean, wait a minute, sewer department holds no office hours.
Why not?
Well, that's another story.
What do they do out there?
Well, then people should be able to go out there, and that'd be their choice if they wish to.
Which I've sent them, I've had a call, I've been in a tractor somewhere, I know, because they run, and I just sent them out to sewer plant.
Right.
okay.
But nobody would know whether or not the clerk was.
Right.
Right.
So,
Well, I am open to seeing additional information from anywhere at MTA, an attorney, something, because that is not an allowable thing that I've read.
right, yes.
So if we can
And
put,
that's more general monies, although sometimes people will walk in here with money that's general, and if Pat's not here, I'll take it right in the receipt and go from there, get that copy.
and we can
So
put,
does this mean I can't take general money
That's
if
what
Pat's
that
not
means.
That's
here?
what it
That's
says.
exactly what that means.
oh shoot, I didn't put them in both spots, all four in both spots.
Okay, but normally, if-
You're these, that's, you help me with this.
I realize that.
That's right.
The clerks and the deputy clerk wouldn't accept tax money.
Correct, so these don't go up here.
Okay.
So you're saying just
What?
the treasurer and deputy treasurer would go down to general monies, added down there?
Is that a
Is that what-
problem with anybody?
I don't have a problem with that.
Pat? I don't have a problem with that. Okay, so that would be what we do there.
Who wants to know about it?
Alright, so
Well,
we
yeah,
will,
I've gotta write them a receipt and I give you a copy of all the receipts. First thing I do, Pat, is write a receipt.
alright, so we will add those, possibly get some more information and put a thumbtack in this one until
Right.
next month.
Yeah.
On to the grant policy. Other than striking from Bird Township, I am good as is.
Well, I wanted to check something out. This is my problem, and I'm afraid this is what's happening with the grant for the fire department. We did not do,
Resolution.
a resolution, so if we're going for a grant, we need a resolution
And the
done.
board never saw the packet.
Kurt came to me and asked me to do it, and he sat with me and went
No,
over
I
it.
agree, but I'm just saying, for this policy,
Yeah, number 4 would cover it in the future,
Yeah.
right?
right, right, that's what I'm
Yep.
saying.
Yep.
Mhm.
Alrighty, so we'll change that to add resolutions as
Yep.
well.
And then as far as the two other ones, code of conduct and the ethics ones, those were sent to the attorney on 8/16 at 7:51 PM. And I emailed him just the other day, and he's hoping to have those back by the end of the week.
Okay.
So I would like to make a motion that our next ones, because I've seen the lawyer bill, just for looking at them, that perhaps we approach our insurance lawyer and see if she wanted to read over some of our grants. Not grants,
Policies.
our policy. Is that something you said she'd do?
Yeah, send them to her,
Okay, I would rather go that route.
Yeah,
because,
absolutely.
He's charging us a fortune.
in the proposal, you got a phone number and
Okay,
email address for
Okay.
her.
So I can send those,
well, let's,
Oh, we gotta
wait,
get-
yeah, can I make a motion that we will do that? That way it's there and done.
So, a motion to contact our insurance
Attorney.
Attorney.
attorney
For the
on
rest of
policies.
these policies, yes.
That's my motion.
I said it. Second.
you second it.
Okay.
Motion by Nancy, second by
I don't know how
Denise
to
to use
word
our
it.
insurance lawyer for review some of our policies. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.
Got it.
Okay. What's down to D?
Should we go insurance renewal, so do we want to approve payment of the insurance renewal policy as presented? I'd make a motion that we do that.
I'll second that.
Motion by Patty, second by Nancy to pay the insurance premium.
We are though gonna look over and make sure what should be listed is listed. Okay.
All
Yeah,
in favor,
we can
say
have-
aye.
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 All opposed, motion carried.
Okay.
Yeah, so everybody look through it, make sure you, let me know if anything you have questions or see anything.
That puts us down
I
to
didn't hear a word you said, Pat.
look it over and see if you can see anything else you wanna question about. At our last board meeting, you guys wanted us to look at an internal control study.
I contacted Yo and they do internal control studies at $430 an hour. After the article came out in the paper, a lady contacted us and her resume is in your packet. She's retired from the state of Michigan. She's got a lot of accounting, she knows BSNA. And she has offered to come in and help us look at our internal controls and look at all of our stuff. She said, possibly $20 to $30 an hour.
Who's gonna do a background check on it?
Yeah.
We don't know. We got this, and that's fine, and I think a background check should be
I
done,
agree.
and then I wouldn't have a problem with it.
And does she have professional liability insurance?
Yeah, good idea.
If she's a volunteer, would she be covered?
She's not
She's
volunteer,
paid.
she was paid.
Well,
Okay,
we'd be hiring her.
So it'd be an independent contractor, which are not covered,
Right.
because he said the roof got faulted.
Okay.
Hey, we'll check her out a little more.
Yep.
Compactor.
Can I say real
Yep.
quick, you know, you guys feel free to give her a call and talk to her. She's very open to.
Yeah, she's real nice lady. That moves us down to the compactor.
Okay. So concrete hopefully will be poured sometime by the end of October, then the electrical, and after the electrical, socket is set, consumers will come in. I'll find out in a couple weeks at the solid waste committee meeting when they think our compactors will be here and how it fits into our timeline with all of that. And that's all I have on that.
So we lose the con-
Go ahead.
So they pull these out, obviously.
Then we move to the other side.
Oh,
Now, do we still have a bus coming in the afternoon?
Yeah, morning, afternoon, both.
and Head Start.
Well, Head Start parks at the end of the old building.
Right.
Okay, so I know that Carson has put on another bus, so somebody's gonna have to get a hold of the bus garage and make them realize that they're gonna have to jockey around
Oh,
somehow.
okay.
I know people at the edge of town are now getting picked up, but obviously not everybody right in town.
And in the meantime on that, I called Daryl, the new marijuana shop owner, cause he made a comment, Nancy wanted me to call him. He is gonna donate a hunk of money for that cement work. He didn't say how much. He just said, yep, I will. He said he would have a check this week.
But when, shouldn't that go to the county, since they're?
Well, I'm gonna get a hold of Ally at Yo, because if I take a donation, can we then turn it around and offset some of that concrete? Cause he wanted it for the concrete, okay? Which the county, I will submit the bill, but if we paid a portion of the bill, that'd be fine.
But I thought we already gave the county our $5,000, so we don't have any more expense for the compactors.
He said he wanted to help donate towards this.
Right.
To the township, so that way he could say, hey, I helped pay for some of that concrete. As far as the 5,000, do you think that covers everything? You're wrong.
But
Covers
I guess
very,
that's
very
what I'm
little.
confused, so and that's the question I've asked the entire time is, what is the township's expense of this thing to be? And I thought it was, he said $5,000, is that the only thing the county was asking for from the township?
Say that again? He said that?
That was
As
what
in
Saban.
Mr. Pruitt?
No, Mr. Saban.
He was going to several townships, ones that don't have compactors, and asking for funds, because anybody in Montcalm County can use these compactors.
Right.
So,
So I guess so we don't know how much this whole project is gonna cost the township.
okay, Matt, it's cost us $5,000,
Okay.
but you don't want us to let Mr. Pruitt pay some of the concrete bill with his donation. Is that what you're saying?
No,
Oh, no.
I'm just saying.
She's saying, when that guy Stubbins was here, he made it sound like our township would only cost us $5,000,
That's exactly what it sounded like.
right?
But he said concrete and electrical would be over and above.
Right.
But
You
not at
guys.
our expense.
Yes, he did.
At that point, I was not
Oh.
sure,
Yeah.
okay? So
Okay.
if you want me to tell him not to send
No.
us any money, then I will do
No,
so.
No.
And if he makes the
Her
check out
question
to us,
is,
I
think
can't.
what Patty's trying to say, is it gonna cost us another 20,000 out of our township?
No,
For the compactors, that's what she was asking.
Okay, that's what she's wanting to know.
Yes.
I'm asking the question, I don't know how, so,
what this would do is offset that concrete bill, and the balance would be paid for by the solid waste committee,
okay, that's my question, so,
which I said that earlier. It's gonna offset that concrete bill, cause that's what he wanted to donate towards. I'll help pay for the concrete, he said. And that was even the night that Mark Saban was here.
Right, yeah. Okay. We'll move on down to the park project.
okay. As I've said for how many months now, we're still waiting to hear from Eagle on the bid package. We can't send anything out to bid until we get the approval from Eagle. We're
So
still waiting.
is anybody following up?
Yes, I
Okay.
talked to Alexandria the other day, and she's hoping that she'll have that to us by the end of the week. I got this is the bid pack, this is what they're gonna be bidding on, and this is what they anticipate the cost to be. So it's like a $770,000 project. And then this is just my numbers that I put together, so if we get 300,000 from the grant, the township has said, you know, committed to 150, we've got 120 now in the park fund, we've got the 400,000, or $40,000 donation, we haven't received that yet, but I'm still counting on that. So that's a total of 610. So, I guess I should, is the board going to support the project, or?
What have we gone down to in switchbacks?
That's what all this, that's the cost, that's what's on,
What, what number?
How many
Number of
switchbacks?
no switchbacks.
Oh, no,
No, those are the handicap ramps, the
Yeah,
handicap
the-
walkway.
we're in 3-tier now, right, instead of 4.
Right, but they're gonna be sidewalks and not necessarily the extensive switchback that they originally had.
Okay, didn't know that, but okay.
When did that, see, I didn't know that either, so when did that?
Isn't it supposed to be so 2 wheelchairs can get
Right,
through?
right.
at one
Oh,
time?
And that's,
yeah.
Are
And
there
I
any
get-
drawings?
But there are still tiers, right? So how do they get down to the tiers?
Is it,
the sidewalks at the end.
Well, I guess that's what I meant. They just walk up to them, they don't, can't go level to level? Guess we need new plans.
The plans haven't changed. The plans haven't changed. That's what I'm really confused about.
so you're saying it's still going like this?
Yeah, the ends are still gonna go that, they had to change it, cause they have to be wider so that two
Right.
wheelchairs or 2 walkers can go side by side.
And we're still having 3
Yes.
Instead of 4.
instead of 4, okay.
So how do you get from the ramp to the level? How do you get from the wheelchair ramp to each of the tiers?
The sidewalk.
Is there a plan that shows that?
The original plans show all
Yeah.
that.
So it's gonna be like the original plan with just no switchbacks?
Right, the side, instead of a switchback at the end, it's gonna be sidewalks at the end.
Gotta see it.
Stan would like to see those plans again. I'm gonna say this much, when the people were here from police and Vanderbank, they point blank said, when you do a project like this, you do fundraisers, and you do fundraisers, and you do fundraisers within your community.
We did, we started off doing a fundraiser.
Well, it stopped at 17,000, and then he said, you don't just quit.
Did a couple.
You don't just quit, you keep doing them. So.
Well, the board disbanded the committee,
Exactly.
so
We're at 610 right there.
So,
We got 130 in ARPA.
no, we did not.
We got marijuana money. And we did have a private individual tell us a couple of weeks ago, because we was discussing, they wanted to know who's gonna give free labor. And,
Was there free labor?
thanks Dave,
I think.
well, that's what originally, they thought maybe we'd get some free labor, but some of the big farmers that's got the hydrant, they ain't got time to
No,
follow
And then you run into liability.
liability.
right,
So we said, just ship it out
right.
as it all hired out.
And that's what
And
this sheet is.
And that's what that sheet is. And, a private individual said, if you guys are $100,000 short, I can come up with it.
so right now we're 150, 160.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
So
we're at 610.
770, and we're at 610, so we're $160,000 short. We take the ARPA fund, I'm just saying, there's 130, so really, we're only 30,000 short.
Well, if you take the marijuana money, we're not sure.
We're not sure.
Right, I mean,
Right.
if you take both of them, yes.
Well, we've got $169,000 in ARPA money between 22 and 23. You'll see what we'll get next year. those monies are there.
You mean marijuana, not ARPA?
Marijuana,
Okay.
yes, 23 and 24 marijuana.
So yeah, we have it right there if we,
I thought we already had in-kind donations coming in for people to do that.
We got a 40,000 donation.
yeah.
No, I mean people coming in to
Well,
do
we-
the work, in-kind.
That's our labor we have to do.
Right.
Yes.
We already did some of it.
But like I said,
Cut trees down.
we're talking about trying to get volunteer labor and stuff like that. But then you have to work, we need to get the contractor, we need to put it out for bid and get the contractor, because the contractor isn't gonna wanna bid and guarantee his work if I've got somebody else coming and doing half the job, and then they do not
And
up to
then-
standard.
Right.
So it's really gonna be up to the contractor how much of that labor is gonna be allowed to be in kind.
And that's fair.
That's only fair.
That's my bedtime, I'm getting old.
Hey, I didn't put my.
Jesus
my
Christ.
So really,
outside window.
Nobody's
Yeah,
keeping that
marijuana.
one.
That's what it is.
we have
I'm a
enough in this
taxpayer.
park project
Right.
with that marijuana money.
Yeah.
Okay.
This Brady, we'll probably have more marijuana.
Now,
money
this
by the time
grant.
it comes in.
Is, do we know if we got the grant yet? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the grant.
No, I'm like, wait a minute, you got, the way you made it sound is like it was,
No.
wasn't sure yet,
No,
okay.
we have to have the approval, because they have to approve all of
Okay.
the process. And
I
I just,
just figured, well,
They had approved the guy that cut the trees down.
I get it. I just, the way she said it, it made me question
Well,
it.
and the
That's
grants are
why I asked.
reimbursable grants, so it's
That's
not
what I
like we
figured.
got 300,000 sitting on a table from the state of Michigan. It's, you get the work done, submit the
Then we
stuff,
re-
make
then
sure
we
it
pay.
works,
Right.
everything.
Now, what's the deadline for that grant?
it's gotta be by the end of next year.
The end of next year, and are we still on schedule? I mean,
Well,
are we
no.
on schedule?
Not knowing yet. They wanted to start after Labor Day, but we don't have the okay yet.
So Eagle's the holdup at this point,
Yes.
and she's
that's-
gonna follow up
And that's what
and,
I've been telling you for how many months now, that Eagle's
Yeah.
on the holdup, and everybody says I was withholding information, but there was,
And
Only as good as what you get.
okay, so then they're gonna get with you hopefully later this week.
she said.
but then see, it'll probably be, once it goes out for bid, it'll probably be the 30 days.
Right, you got, yeah, you'll have.
And they're hoping, you know, they're just hoping for a good fall, they can get some of the landscaping done.
Okay. Now I'm up to, now I'm
No,
up to
you-
now. I'm up to speed now.
Okay, let's keep moving.
So, I guess maybe I would feel better if the board would agree that we're going to, I'm not saying, I don't wanna say, you know, use all the ARPA money for the park project, or use all the marijuana money, but just that we're in agreement to support that we wanna continue with this project. So I guess I would make a motion that we continue with this project as the numbers that are on the potential bid sheet.
I will second that.
Motion by Patty, seconded by
Go ahead,
Lisa to keep moving forward on this project.
discussion.
Discussion?
Yes. What do you mean by the potential bid sheet? Which sheet?
That one.
This one, she just
They're
gave
both
us.
the same thing.
We don't really know,
This-
they could come in lower than that sheet you
Okay.
gave you.
Okay, all right, just wanted to make sure.
And then Mike,
Right.
and then Mike come in higher, I don't, he don't think, he figured high,
Yeah,
hope it comes in lower.
okay, gotcha.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
I abstained. People were looking at me weird for not eyeing, so I'm abstaining from that one.
Okay, one abstain. Okay, that puts us down to new business, the Marine Corps.
Excuse me, can,
Oh,
I have a question. I'm concerned about the park project, and I'd like to know from the township's perspective, how the organization works, who's in charge of daily operations and overall. I hear a lot of discussion going on here. Does this mean that all decisions are gonna be made at the board meetings, or is there an individual that these people could, like a contractor could come to? How is this being managed, the whole project?
Wolverine is our prime project. Wolverine out of Mason.
Okay, so they won't have any questions for the township, or they're,
If they do, those come to the board.
okay, so then there's really no daily organization that needs to be involved.
they're the kind of the overseer of it.
Okay, thank you.
On that ARPA money, can that actually be used for that park project?
Oh, yeah, they did a lot of parks for ARPA money.
It's for the community.
It's one of
So
the
I always
main-
thought
that's one of the
it was
things
for,
we-
buil- you know,
it-
like the
we-
buildings.
We took it under
They changed a lot of them
government
at the
services,
amount.
Okay,
but,
all right.
okay.
Okay, Marine Patrol.
I would just like to ask if we could pay the Marine Patrol for putting in our buoys and taking them out each year. 2 years ago, we gave them $500. At the end of the year last year, we didn't give them anything.
And they even had to put them in a couple times.
Yeah,
Those
they-
kids love to take a
Oh,
hard
yeah,
on
we
that.
try to maintain them. I would make a motion that we give them $500.
I'll second that, Pat.
Motion by Pat, seconded by Nancy to give the Marine Patrol $500 for taking care of our buoys. Any discussion?
Yeah, can we make sure that we have hard dates of buy season open? Memorial weekend, they are out.
Well, they don't start working until Memorial Weekend, so they would do it.
That'd probably be more than a weekend that got done.
Yeah, we missed it this year.
I think they couldn't get to the boys.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. South Pier.
Okay, well, I think Karen, Raymond mentioned a couple months ago that there's a picnic table out on the dock. If it got moved, it's gotten put back.
It did get moved.
It was back
Back
last
on there,
week.
Okay, I don't know about now, but back
Apologize,
when-
I did not go by there today, but I think it's back out there maybe still.
Okay.
Plus, those picnic tables out there need replaced. They're dangerous as well as falling apart. There are 3 tables, if you include the 2 under the pavilion and the one out on the dock. So I think we should probably look into some picnic tables.
Okay, for next year.
Well, what do you do with them during the winter? I'm sorry.
Well, those,
Way to secure them, so they can't keep putting it out there on the
I
dock.
guess those we probably keep under the building.
They're
The park, to the park, you just put up under the,
horrible, they should just
take
take
them out of
away. And I
Okay.
can tell you, they're very heavy because they're those old wooden ones.
Yeah, I think you always use a tractor and a loader.
Sorry.
Compactor.
I'm gonna come.
They can probably take them out there and burn them.
Okay,
Okay.
is that it?
For that, yes.
Duck Lake seawall.
Okay, got a hold of Jacob Richard from Fort Lake Stock and Seawall. He also is expecting an okay from Eagle on the permit at any time. So, I'd like to request that when he lets me know and proves that he has that permit, that we can go ahead and pay him the half down that was on his bid, so he can keep moving on this, cause our weather's gonna start
Oh, we
changing.
did.
I thought we already did that too.
We paid him $250 for the permit. We have not paid him any more money.
I'll make a motion that we pay him half down once he proves he has the permit from Eagle.
I'll second that.
Motion by Sarah, second by Lisa, to, once he approves that he's got the permits for the Duck Lake seawall, that we give him his half down. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Puts us down in our kitchen. As you probably all know, there's a big 10-burner stove in there that the old school used to use. We've always got it, we gotta unhook it, cause it ain't, it's old. With Head Start in here, when the fireman comes in, he says it can't be hooked up. So what we've been doing for the last year, we just unhook the gas line, and then if somebody rents the kitchen, wants it, we hook it back up and use it. But we don't need that big of a
That was
burner.
not said in public.
We don't need that big of a burner.
That's what I was thinking.
And, we tried once before to sell it, to put it on eBay or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, we did, we didn't get no bites.
Try it again. You can get somebody to put it on there.
Well, we can try it, or we do have a guy that came and looked at it, but he don't wanna give nothing for it. But he'd even take, which I know, there's old coolers there, they used to keep the milk cartons in when you was kids.
Yeah.
And they're noisy, nobody uses them, he said he'd even get them out of here.
They're wheels and they're expensive. We have some from our old business. They have clothes and they push, those are expensive.
I
Put them
know.
on Facebook Marketplace.
But if they work.
They're coolers? Oh, they're plug-in coolers,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
standalone
no,
coolers.
yeah, plug-in ones, and they make noise when they run.
What are these made out of?
Metal.
Metal.
What kind of
Probably
metal?
white,
And
white
can,
aluminum.
can
Well,
they,
it's probably
can they
cast
see?
iron in the stove.
Oh, yeah, the stove would be.
But
So,
the coolers are probably just stainless steel and aluminum.
is that what some of our, metal recycling takes? And there is a metal recycling site in Lakeview.
Yeah, they are, except they got Freon in it.
Right.
They
But if we're
can't-
gonna,
Okay,
They
okay.
right, and to take them to a dump site, you're supposed to get the freon out of them.
Okay.
I think they even make you pull the pump out even
Yeah.
more.
They make you pull the
Usually you just
compressor.
crack the line and
That's the
They make you pull the compressor
compressor.
out.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if we better, if the guy, that stove's gonna be a bummer getting out of
Oh,
here.
man.
Just yeah, that's what I'd make a motion, we just
Get
give it
out
to
from
the guy.
under liability.
Yeah, get rid of liability.
I would do, I'll second that.
But we can't give away township property.
$1.
Dollar,
Yeah.
the bucks.
If it doesn't
Oh.
work,
Scrapped, it's
We're gonna pay for scrap.
If you're not allowed to use it, there's no value.
Right, and if we gotta hire someone to come and take the freon out. Okay,
okay, well, go ahead.
I'll make a motion that for $1 we sell it to the guy.
Second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Are you gonna buy another stove, just a regular
Oh,
kitchen
yeah, that's
stove?
what, we just need to go down to a,
Just a small stove.
probably a gas stove, cause we got gas there.
If, as long as the stove has the correct shut, and what the
Yeah.
start guy said, it was the, I think.
Like
it was
safety units.
An electronic,
Yeah.
right? Is that what it said the other one
We
didn't
get
have?
them all out of it, and we need to get bids for a new gas stove. I have a 4-burner thing.
Okay. I have electric, so I don't know.
I already got the gas line right there, we might as well use gas for all of it, it's cheaper. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Public comment. John?
Last meeting, you guys talked about 3 things that you were gonna bring back up tonight. They've been left dangling. Well, no, I think you covered one of them, so sorry, 2. I may have missed this. Where are you at with the Michigan 1 CD and the CMS bill? There was some figuring out of some things, and you all said, we'll talk about it next meeting. I have a kid I have to go pick up from class. It's just public comment. I don't expect you to answer, so good night.
Bye, honey.
Your
Drive safe.
wife
Watch
can
out
tell
for
you the
you.
answer when she gets home. Anybody else?
Yep.
Fred?
Yeah,
Yep.
this property out here on,
Already.
by the sewer pond, where do they get the water to irrigate that at?
Sewer.
So you're telling me that you're gonna pump that water out on that property? Say you was gonna plant sweet corn out there,
You
tomato.
can't.
You can't, it's gotta be for animal feed only.
Well, what makes it worth so much money then? I think somebody ought to do a little investigating on that.
That's why he rents it out cheap.
Well, I wouldn't give much for it the way it is. So, just wanna bring it up.
Thanks, Fred.
When's the pavilion gonna leave? Is it gonna leave this winter?
Part of the project.
That's probably depends on when they get started.
You're gonna pay to have it taken down?
No, there's people wanna buy it.
But how are they gonna work into the project? They gotta be done before they can start moving dirt.
Well, probably once we get the okay, no start, we'll have to get rid of our seller and tell them it's gotta be out here by a certain date and.
Chopping off and moving.
What are you selling it
Disconnect the
for?
electric.
How much?
I don't know, there's gonna probably take, there's 3 or 4 people that's wanting it, so I'll probably just take bids on it.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Let's go home.
Nancy, you made a motion?
Yeah, I did.
I'll second.
Motion by Nancy, seconded by Patty, adjourned at 8:40. All in favor, say aye.
Frank,
Motion carries.
I will.
Yeah, that's worth probably about $400 or $500.